Good afternoon. My name is Amanda Jarvis, and I'm with the Virginia SBDC Network. For those of you that are not familiar with our organization, the Virginia Small Business Development Center is a partnership program between the U.S. Small Business Administration, George Mason University, and local host institutions throughout Virginia. With 27 locations across the Commonwealth, we provide training and technical assistance to small businesses in their local communities. Our one-on-one consulting services are available at no charge. Today's webinar, Protecting Your Small Business from Identity Theft, is presented by the Virginia SBDC Network. Be sure to check out our next cyber workshop, Create a Cyber Incident Response Plan, on June 14th. We are recording today's presentation and it will be posted on our website, virginiasbdc.org. Due to the large number of participants, everyone's microphone is muted. But if you have questions during the presentation, you can type those into the Q&A box. We have also enabled the live transcript function, which you can show or hide via your meeting controls. And now it is my pleasure to introduce our presenter for today's session. Quiana Gainey is a 20-plus year IT and cybersecurity industry veteran and has served as Chief Executive Officer for SecureTech 360 located in Springfield, Virginia, since its inception in 2010. Ms. Gainey is also the Cyber Industry Specialist for the Virginia SBDC. Now I'll turn it over to Quiana.
Thank you, Amanda, and welcome everyone to the Identity Theft webinar. If this is your first time joining us, welcome back. If this is your first time, welcome. If you've been to our previous sessions, welcome back. Like Amanda stated, I've been in the industry about 20 plus years, but very excited about my new role at the Virginia SBDC. We are very proud to present these webinars. We also have some additional resources that I will share with you at the end, but we'll jump right into what you came here today, which is identity theft. How to protect your small business. We'll go over some resources. We'll take some questions. And then at the end, I'll give you some contact information if you want to schedule a one-on-one or go back and look at some previous webinars or even sign up for some additional resources that we have. A lot of exciting things going on in Virginia SBDC. So welcome. Next slide. So, what is business identity theft? Business identity theft happens when a criminal who can pose as an owner or an officer to illegally get cash, credit, loans, or just to victimize your business, right? Identity thieves are usually looking to steal the business identity by gaining access to business accounts, credit cards, or stealing sensitive company information. So very similar to identity theft that may happen to you as an individual, there are cyber criminals that are looking to also illegally get cash, credit, or even sometimes just ruin your reputation, right? They don't really have a motive. Sometimes they do, but sometimes they don't. It could be for various reasons. So we're going to discuss some ways that we can help you protect yourself as a small business owner, because cyber criminals don't really have a profile. They usually just want to gain access to some bank accounts information or steal some sensitive company information. And if you've been to any of the previous webinars, we kind of discussed some other additional ways to protect your small business at all times. Next slide. Identity theft in your small business. Again, you're going to really hear me horn on most of the webinars about taking strong security measures to protect your business and your employees' data, and also your customers' data. Because when scammers go after your organization, it can hurt your reputation. It can also hurt your bottom line. It is a major inconvenience for you and your clients to have to deal with identity theft. And today we will cover a few simple steps that can help protect you and your business. What are some common business identity theft schemes, right? We've seen everything from them trying to establish temporary office space, merchant accounts in your company's name, ordering merchandise or services with stolen credit cards, using bogus account details, using phishing attacks. This is another very popular one to get your company's banking or credit information. You'll get an email that states, hey, we're trying to get more information, or and usually they'll try to have like a sense of urgency. You need to respond right now, or they'll pose as someone that you know, or they'll even pose with a company that you've probably done business with in the past. Another big one that I think a lot of small business owners, and even what you're always thinking about, just things that happen online. There are cyber criminals that go through your business trash, your recycling bins, looking for account numbers and other sensitive data. Anything that they can kind of tie themselves to you or your business, they're looking for information. So ways that you can protect your small business is simple things. If you have sensitive information, make sure you are locking up those sensitive documents and only giving access to the employees that need that sensitive information. If you have a recycling bin, we definitely want you to recycle, but make sure you shred the information that have account numbers or sensitive data. Make sure that you have even a lock on your business trash, right? Because they can use things in your trash to be able to victimize you or your company or even your customers. We've even seen some identity theft schemes that they're filing bogus documents with the Secretary of State's office and changing your registered address or your name of directors and officers for the company, which they can use later to help establish things like lines of credit with banks and retailers. So making sure that whoever has access to those important documents or access to be able to get to your Secretary of State office documents, that you know who's actually accessing that sensitive information, to make sure that no one can change those addresses or the names of directors or officers in your company, and just keeping a close eye on those documents. Next slide. So how can you protect your business? It's just some simple basic steps, right? And we've covered this in previous webinars, and doing things like installing anti-malware, antivirus software with automatic updates enabled on your devices, deploying firewall protections on your network, use responsible passwords, make sure they have special characters. You can use a password manager. Make sure you do your research in any type of technology that you use for your business. Read the fine print. Read the security practices of that company. Read the terms of use. Read how they're handling your private information, right? So regardless of what you're doing, make sure you read the fine print. I've always say, even for our small business owners, talk to other small business owners, find out what they've used, do your research, do Google searches to make sure that those password manager companies don't have any bad reviews, or there's people that have problems with them in the past, because you are putting your passwords into these password managers. So just taking a step back and using cybersecurity with your everyday practices will be the best step in protecting your small business. Next slide. Also, you can do things like choosing a multi-factor authentication. I think we've all gotten used to, even with our bank now, if you try to log in, they'll send you a password on the back end on your cell phone, and then you can put that code inside of the website to be able to access it. Those are things that you can do for your small business. There are some third-party applications available, but again, with anything that you decide to use for your small business, I can't stress this enough. Read the fine print, do your research. Do not deploy anything into your environment that you have not done your research on. You can do things like encrypt sensitive files and emails with strong password protection. So if you're going to send sensitive files and you're not using a secure email, you can do something simple as just putting a password on those particular files. Send that password in another method. You can send it by text. I'm a big component of old school, just picking up the phone and saying, hey, did you receive X email from me, just to make sure that it didn't get lost in transit, and to make sure that the person on the other end received it, and then you can give them the code. So those are other things that you can do that don't cost a lot of money, because I know as a small business owner, I'm a small business owner, and I understand your pain. it's like this is another expense for your company, but you rather pay upfront to protect yourself versus paying on the back end and having to deal with identity theft or any type of incidents with your company. Also, back up all your sensitive data to a secure place, external source not connected to your network. We use a lot of backup drives. You can get a lot of backup drives now for terabytes for only a couple $100 or even less than that, and store some of your more sensitive data. Make sure that those drives, though, are also put somewhere in a safe place that you are limiting access. So as you see, that's like a recurring theme. Limit access, make sure you have multiple places where you're storing items that is not connected to the main source, so that you can always have that backup. And then also one big, if you don't get any other takeaway, even with backups, make sure that you test those backups, right? Because it's one thing to back up your sensitive data, and then you need it to, you need that actual data and you can't access it because you didn't test those backups. And then also destroy any old computer hard drives and printers that contain sensitive data. I know that there's a couple of places that you can actually bring your computer hard drives or printers. Make sure that if you do take them into those places, that you are destroying those drives, you're wiping those drives, you're making sure that all the sensitive information is off those drives. But you want to make sure that you don't keep anything on there that can cause a potential issue, because with identity theft and with any type of incident, most cyber criminals are just looking for a small way to get into your organization, and they're very crafty about how they obtain that information. Again, limit access to personal data, business data to individuals who have a need to know. So for us, like even in my company, the HR department has their own drives, their own information sources that is completely separate from accounting. Now, there are some files and things that we use together, but those are shared amongst the group, but we limit the access to the individuals who are working on those projects or who have a need to know or been assigned to handle that data, right? And if you go into secure sites, especially when you're doing any personal data, any business data, make sure that it begins with a HTTPS, because that tells you that that site is secure, but also just make sure that that is actually a site as well. So it may take a little bit of time. I always say with cyber, it's just about taking a deep breath, taking a step back, assessing the situation, making sure that you are aware of what's going on. You're aware of the website that you're trying to gain access to, and make sure that it is the actual website. Next slide. Okay, so let's say you experience identity theft, and you want to file a police report on that data breach. My first suggestion is to, before you contact law enforcement, just to make sure that is actually, you have been actually a victim of identity theft, that something has happened. I always say play detective, even as the CEO, interview the individuals that have been a part of the identity theft that it happened to, that someone reported to you, however it was reported to you. Make sure you validate and verify that an incident has actually occurred. Once you have done your research and you have validated that an incident has occurred, make sure you document everything, so that when you file that police report on that data breach and you're contacting law enforcement, you have the who, what, when, and how, right? If you have some fraud that has been reported to you, obtain a copy of your credit reports. If you are a victim of identity theft or data loss, there are organizations that are there to help you, like the Federal Trade Commission. They have some wonderful resources. I am a component of, and they're free of charge. You can just go to their website and they send you actual booklets and things that tell you what to do. If you're a victim of identity theft, there's a recovery plan in here, and this is a great resource. So, and then the IRS also has some great resources as well, and we'll give you some links to those websites at the end of the presentation. But Make sure that whatever you do, you act fast so that you can limit the amount of either effects of what's happening to you, or you can, make sure that it doesn't happen to someone else. Also, report the incident to any credit or ID theft protection agency you use. Certain states require or offer credit monitoring for identity theft protection to victims of identity theft. Put some fraud alerts on your business and bank and merchant accounts. Contact your bank and let them know that there's something that you are a victim of identity theft, so that they can stay alert if they see any strange transactions. Also, log on to your bank to make sure there are any type of financial data or financial websites that you use to host your finances. Log onto those accounts to make sure that there's no suspicious activity going as well. And then also, you can also consider placing a credit freeze to make it harder for someone to open up a new account in your name. I know it seems like a lot, but these are great steps just to help you deal with identity theft and to make sure that you're reporting. I know even sometimes they had a lot of surveys out that a lot of small businesses do not report when incidents happen to them. So I hope that if nothing else during this presentation, if this gives you enough food for thought to make sure that it's okay to report, and to make sure that it won't cause you any damage to your organization by reporting. It would actually help you and also help any other small businesses. Next slide. Also, we talked about this too. Report the issue to small business credit reporting agencies. Notify them if there's a compromise to your clients, because they may seek services. And here's some websites. Equifax has a whole consumer fraud division. So does Experian and TransUnion for your small business. We use Dun and Bradstreet. They also have some resources available as well. So make sure that you contact them, go to the website. They'll have a wealth of information on each of the website about what to do if you're a victim of identity theft, and who to call, who to contact, what steps to take. But make sure that you are keeping that documentation that we talked about, that you're preparing for law enforcement. Make sure you have that readily available, because they may ask some questions and give you some additional steps that you need to take immediately. Next slide. So again, what we can do as doing our part to what we can do as a small business owner, we can do our part, right? I am a component of cyber risk insurance because they may even cover some data breach mitigation expenses, because it will cost money to probably recover after something like this happens to you. If you have current business insurance, most business insurance carriers also offer some type of cyber risk insurance. So talk it over with your leadership, talk it over with your team. If it's an additional cost or expense to you, it will be more expensive to not have it than to have it. So, as a small business owner, look at your bottom line, have those conversations with your leadership as far as what you need to keep yourself safe. Also, if there is something that you feel like you need to consult with a cybersecurity expert to help you determine the cause, the scope of the breach, and to prevent either future breaches from occurring, that is another recommendation. They can probably do some additional investigation for you so that you can understand why you were a victim of identity theft, what happened, and also to give you some mitigating recommendations to prevent future breaches from occurring to you and your small business. Again, talk to your business insurer or attorney, if you have an attorney, about your any legal steps you need to take. I am a component of making sure that you have as many experts that you can access during this time, so that you're not missing a step, and that you're making sure that you can either stop the breach or you can prevent future breaches from happening. And also it can be used as another mitigating factor to help you and your small business determine the cause and to stop it so they won't keep happening to you. Tell your bank, your credit card providers that your business may have been a victim of identity theft. Ask them questions if there's any recent unusual charges or orders for someone claiming to do business in your name. Also find out if there's a potential attack on that potential bank or credit card provider. Sometimes I know we've seen them in the mail where they'll send you out a notice to say, hey, X, Y, and Z bank has been a part of a breach, and they want you to contact your credit agency to report any issues and to put in a claim. It's the same type of process that you would use on the other end as a small business owner, right? You want to know if this is just something that's unique to you, or if this is something that happened to the enterprise or to the actual bank or credit card providers or anyone that you're doing business with. Also, once you have done all your investigation, you have sought after maybe a cyber expert or any attorneys to help you with this. Notify your customers, send them a letter to inform them of the breach and let them know that you're working with law enforcement. Give them an update, send out updates to tell them what's happening in real time. Most, customers are very understanding, and as long as you're keeping them in the loop and let them know what's going on in real time, it gives them a comfort that you are taking this breach seriously and that you are doing everything you can in your power to make sure that this doesn't cause a major issue for them and moving forward in the future. A big thing that we all can do is train our employees. Make sure your employees are educated about any new emerging cyber threats, on how to protect your organization data. Explain to your staff how scams happen. Ask them not to send any sensitive data over your email that's not either password protected, that we're not using any of the steps that we talked about previously. There's a lot of resources out there to assist you as a small business owner to put together a security training program that gives you continuous learning, because as with cyber, with anything, it's always changing. There's always new emerging threats. So make sure you're staying on top of that. The Virginia SBDC has also started a partnership with Scher, and we'll give you a link to that at the end of the presentation, but it helps you at least put together a security program that has training as a main component for your employees, and it's complimentary. There are some additional services in there, and there's some additional resources they have in the tool as well. And if you need more information, there is a webinar and on our website that you can go back to and listen in about how to set yourself up on Scher. And also you can always reach out to me to do a one-on-one, and I can walk you through the process as well. But again, plan ahead, create a data security plan to respond to these security incidents. Don't just create a plan and never test it, never review it, and also review it with your employees. Make sure you designate a person in your organization to assist with any incidents such as identity theft or any other posing threats to your organization. Have an in-house person that can at least make sure that your employees are being trained regularly, that these plans that you put in place, they are regularly being updated, and that your employees understand how to respond when a security incident is happening. Next slide. So again, these are some links to some additional resources that will definitely help you. There is, NIST has some great guidance on how to put together a security program for your business. The IRS also has information about identity theft and what to do if you're a victim. The Department of Justice also has some information and great content about what to do if you're a victim of identity theft. The FBI also has some more additional information about common scams, how to keep yourself safe online, what to do if you're a victim of identity theft. So again, also, I'm giving another shameless plug to the Federal Trade Commission. I promise I'm not on any retainer. They have just been a great resource. They have a great recovery plan that gives you step-by-step information on what to do. They even have some sample letters that I talked about that you can send out to the credit bureaus, to your clients, to your customers. Just a wonderful wealth of information from the FTC. Next slide. So again, here is all of our contact information. Here is my direct email address. If you want to contact me directly, if you have any questions. I know sometimes, if we're in a group setting, you may not think about a question until you leave. So if you have a question, you just want to shoot me an email. Here's my email. If you want to schedule a one-on-one to talk about identity theft, incident response, or just how to set up a security program for your small business, here's the link to schedule a one-on-one with me as well. We also have a lot of information on our Virginia SBDC website. We have a section dedicated just to cybersecurity. So we are definitely dedicated and want to promote cybersecurity for our small business owners, regardless of what your size. If you're a flower shop to everything from if you do government contracting, there's something there for you. Again, I also talked about another partnership that we just launched with the Virginia SBDC and Posture. They have a wonderful resource that will help you set up your security program. There's a link there to set it up. And if you have any questions, again, you can shoot me an email. You can schedule a one-on-one with me as well. Here is a link to all of our webinars. So if you missed, this is our part 3 of our series. So if you missed 1 and 2, you can go back and listen to the recordings. If there's something that you missed here, you can also listen to them as well. We also send out the slides and we make the webinars. We give you a link to the webinars at the end of each presentation. So if you miss a part of it, or you joined late, or you need more information, we got you as well. Next slide. Any questions?
All right. Yeah. Now we're, thank you so much, Quiana, for all that info. Everyone, if you have questions, go ahead and put those in the Q&A box. And we have some time left here so we can answer your questions you have about identity theft and cyber topics. So the first one is, how do they get into your trash? How do you lock up your trash?
So, criminals are very crafty. Sometimes they'll wait and watch your routine. So I always try to say, if you do have a routine with something that you do daily, break up that routine. If you have a trash can where you can put a lock on it, I know that seems a little like, are we really locking up trash? But, depending on the nature of what you're doing in your small business and the data that you have access to, yeah, I would say invest in a trash can or a bin that has the capabilities to lock. And then also put the trash can somewhere where no one has, access to. I know sometimes we have to put it out for trash day, but, don't leave it accessible to anyone in the general public would be my recommendation.
Great, thank you. This one's more just a comment. After the last webinar, I tried to order some booklets from the FDA website, and the site said that they're currently not sending out booklets. Not sure if that was just temporary or what. I'll say I think it's the FTC. Maybe that was a typo, but we'll look into that and make sure that that's something that's still available on the FTC website.
Yes, and if you, and also just sidebar, I don't know, because of COVID, they may have shut down production of the actual books, but on the website, they still have the resources there so that you can download and you can probably print and just keep an electronic copy. A lot has changed with organizations and as it relates to COVID. So again, I will put a link to the website in the chat, but the information is there for you to either print, to download, to review. So if you can't obtain a physical copy, that may just be the only means that you can access it right now.
Great, thanks. Would you recommend a startup small business getting cybersecurity insurance before or after we launch our business?
I would say my short answer would be before you start your business. Just like you have to get insurance on your physical location, you have to get workman's comp. I would rank cyber risk insurance the same as those components, only because a lot of the work that we do is online. So depending on the nature of your business and your budget, right? Because if your budget you can't afford it, you can use some of these additional resources to at least give you a level of security and assurance, right? So speak with your leadership, look over your budget, see if it makes sense for your company. If it makes sense and you can afford it, do it. If you can't, use some of the additional resources that we have here available for you. Go to the website and look at some additional tips or recommendations that you can start implementing from day one of your organization. So it really just depends on you, your budget, your small business, your needs, your customers. You have to make those decisions for your small business. You know your bottom line, you know what you can afford. But if you can't afford it, please obtain it. If you can't, use some of the other recommendations just to start adding cybersecurity as a part of your everyday business.
Great, thank you so much. Also, I just, if you have any more questions, go ahead and put them in the Q&A. I'm going to launch an evaluation here, and if you have a moment, help us out. We'd like to have the feedback. I have another question here. Does our regular business insurance not cover this?
So there is some clauses in your regular insurance, but again, every carrier is different. Every business is different. So I would just recommend that you review your current insurance that you have and see if there are anything that talks about or that lists how they will protect you and your business in the event of an incident. Contact your insurance carrier and even have that conversation. I mean, to make sure that if there is something there, that it's outlined, that you understand what it is. And if there is some additional policies that you have to add, get a cost estimate of that, do your research, also speak with your senior leadership, look over your budgets, and make sure that if you can afford it, do it. If you can't, again, use some of the other recommendations that we have just to get started.
Great, thanks. So my business insurance covers data compromise and identity restoration. Do we need a separate cybersecurity insurance in addition to this?
So again, that's great that they already cover that. But depending on the nature of your business, you can also just reach back out to them to say, hey, I know that it says it covers A, B, and C, but because we do A, B, and C, will this cover that as well? So again, I know sometimes when we set things up, we just get the plan that is presented to us, and maybe we only get what we can afford at the time, but this is the time just to go back and evaluate what you have currently, reach out to your carriers, because sometimes even your business needs, your customers, or the type of data that you're using now may be different from when you first started your business. So I know I use Hartford for my small business, and every year we do an annual audit. And in the annual audit, we go over what my business is currently doing now versus what it did last year. So you can use that time as an opportunity to reach out to your representative to see if the coverage that you currently have is still relevant to what you need for your business present day. So, and at any time, I mean, it's a service that you're paying for. So always, use your resources, contact them, find out, would this be enough to cover what we're doing, right? And if you need some assistance with just, saying, okay, this is what I know I am responsible for now. This is everything that's in my environment. You can always schedule a one-on-one and we can go through it together. So you're not alone. And we can even talk to the carriers to see if there are some additional policies or resources that you need to protect your business as it stands today.
Great, thank you. I think this one's more of a comment kind of related to the question about locking up your trash. This person says that they shred them, so it's no problem before they put them in the trash, and that keeps people from getting into it, I guess, if you shred it before you put it in the trash.
Yes, you can shred it, or even, maybe because I always like to do several things to protect my data and my customers. Even if I will take a black marker and mark out anything that's sensitive, then I shred it. Then I also will put it in a recycling bin that I know that has limited access, because people are very crafty. You don't have to be as paranoid as me, but just put some things in place that give you a level of assurance that you are doing your due diligence. As a small business owner, we're entrusted with our customers' data. We're entrusted with even protecting our own data, right, for our small business. And to protect our reputation, to protect our customers, to protect, what we hold true. I know my small business is like my babies. And I do everything I can to protect it, right? So as long as you're doing your due diligence, the fact that you even taking time out of your day-to-day just to attend a webinar, to educate yourself about identity theft, to educate yourself about how to protect you and your small business, that says to me that you're on the right path, right? So just keep that mindset that cyber is just like any type of security measure. It's only as good as if you use it. It's only as good if you put those safeguards in place. It's only as good as you know how to respond if something happens to you or your organization. It's only as good as the people that you have trained to be able to protect you and your small business. So I know I got on my soapbox, but that's just my passion about it. I want all small business owners just to, protect themselves as much as possible, because we can't stop bad things or bad people from wanting to do things that are unethical, but we can do our part and do our due diligence to make sure that we are protecting ourselves and our small business.
Thank you. This one I will answer. How do we find the answers that were already given but we missed due to prior schedule conflicts? Will the webinar be available later for review? Yes, everyone who attended today will receive a link to the recording, and you'll also receive a copy of the slides, so you get all those links and resources that Quiana shared earlier. So don't worry about it. You're gonna get everything that was shared today. The next one is, how do we protect our electronic data that we put in our computer trash as well?
So how do you protect your electronic data that you put in your trash as well? So one or two things, you can always go into the trash itself and delete it to make sure that it's really gone. And making sure that that when you are dealing with anything that is sensitive in nature, making sure that it is actually deleted. Those are one things that you can do. And then there's some additional tips out there depending on what type of electronic means that you're using. I know that Apple has some resources, Microsoft has some resources. They all have recommendations, or they have tools that you can use to be able to make sure that the information is gone. And then making sure that the person who has access to that particular device is the right person that has the access for that device, right? So we talked a little bit about that, making sure that the individuals who need access has access, because that's key as well, so that you don't have to worry about once you delete something, if someone else can go into your trash and grab it.
Great, thank you. What do you recommend as the best practices in coordinating, protecting both our physical and electronic information?
Education. Education, I am a component of education, educating your staff, educating yourself about whatever technology, whatever you have as far as your physical security, putting together a security plan that identifies all of the different assets, all the different potential security risks, and then putting some mitigating factors in place, putting some countermeasures in place, such as limiting access, such as locking up and storing files and making sure they're limited to the person who needs. So I'm a big component about privilege use and who has access to what, when, and how. Reoccurring education to your staff about what to do, their responsibilities of said technology, of the organization, physical security, making sure that even if you have a small business, putting together a daily checklist, and the daily checklist, covers what to do with shutting down certain technologies, or what doors to keep locked, or what having a clean desk policy, not keeping anything sensitive in nature on your desk, locking those things up at the end of the day. So education is your biggest weapon when it comes to cybersecurity, because again, there's always new threats. There's always new potential risks for you and your environment. So making sure that you are staying on top of that, and making sure that your employees are also you have regular cybersecurity education available for you and your company.
All right, great, thanks. Going back to the question about the shredder, doesn't matter what type of shredder to use. I've seen a shredder that shreds and makes it harder to piece the strips of paper back together.
Yes, so I mean, it depends on your budget, and it depends on the type of documents that you need to shred. Again, like I said, you can even use like a black marker to mark off any of the sensitive information and then use a shredder. Just making sure that if someone took the time to try to put it back together, you're making it very hard for them to put it back together, right? So that's the whole purpose of shredding. That's the whole purpose of marking up the information on the document. That's the purpose of making sure that if you do throw it into a recycling bin, that someone can't go into your dumpster and pull out that document and put it back together and use that as a way to gain access to you, your customers, or to anything that is of value to you. So I think of cyber just like as with your house, right? There are certain people that live there, that reside in the home, that have keys to the actual resident. You may have a housekeeper or a dog walker. You may give them like a key to the back door, or a code just to come in to be able to do their service, right? You wouldn't give them the same access that you would give a primary resident. And you would put certain things in place to make sure that they don't have total access to everything that they need in your residence. So I use that as an analogy that we do security every day, when we lock our car doors, when we lock up our homes. So take that same mindset when you are thinking about cyber for your small business, and I think you'll be fine.
Great, thank you so much. So that is the questions that we have for today. I'm going to go ahead and wrap us up. So just to let you know, as I mentioned before, you will all receive an email and a link to the recording and to the slides. If you'd like to sign up for upcoming webinars or access recorded webinars, please visit virginiasbdc.org/training. I also put that link in the chat. Be sure to check out our next cyber workshop, creating a cyber incident plan, on June 14th. We also have a couple others coming up, so keep an eye out for those. The webinar and other SBDC resources are designed to be used in collaboration with your local SBDC advisors. You can sign up for a free and confidential session by emailing help@virginiasbdc.org or via our website. Thank you so much, everybody, for attending today. Thank you, Quiana, and
Thank you.
We'll see you next time.
Yes, thank you. You guys have been a wonderful audience. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for your attention. I hope today you learned something, or you have another tool to add to your toolbox. And I look forward to seeing you in future sessions. And thank you.
Great, thanks.